The Young Turks brought to you by Carbonite Online Backup. Get a free trial at carbonite.com by using the promo code TYT, and you also get 2 months free if you decide to buy. Newsweek just wrote a great article about the number of people who have died because of gun violence after the Arizona shooting. So a total of 2,405 people in the United States have been shot to death since what happened in Tucson. And, you know, the article goes into public opinion regarding gun laws and gun reform. And, you know, because of the NRA, you always hear that people are against any type of gun reform. They're against any type of laws or regulations involving guns. But in reality, that is not the case. The majority of the United States would actually like stricter regulations when it comes to gun control. Okay, so now I have the numbers to prove it. So Newsweek and the Daily Beast actually conducted a poll. And what they did is they asked a number of different questions regarding different laws or restrictions on gun ownership, okay? So I want to read those results to you guys. According to the poll, 86% of respondents want background checks when it comes to purchasing guns, okay? Now, there are the gun show loopholes. There are a number of different ways where people can obtain guns without even showing ID. And 86% of the country believes that that's unacceptable. They believe that background checks are necessary. 51% support a ban on high-capacity clips. Okay, that's also something that you don't hear too much about in the media. You hear that people are typically against any type of law like that. Also, 67% back prohibiting the sale of firearms and explosives to people on terrorist watch lists. Now, the reason why that statistic is super interesting to me is that it's only 67%. Of course, that's the majority, but really, 33% of people believe it's okay to sell firearms to people on the terrorist watch list? Like, what is wrong with those people?
Yeah, I couldn't believe that either. You know what that must be? That must be just unbelievable brainwashing by the NRA, where they say, oh, no, but then they're going to start calling everybody terrorists. Look, if that's the case, then I'm with you. That we would fight against that together, right? But right now, the terrorist watch list presumably has people we are significantly concerned are terrorists. And so it's, of course they shouldn't have weapons. I literally, in my entire lifetime, of all the things we've ever covered, I don't know a more obvious thing to me than people on the terrorist watch list, which we won't even allow them to fly, should not be able to buy weapons here in the U.S.
No, I know, and you're completely right about the brainwashing of the NRA, okay? Because there's another statistic in this Newsweek story that blew me away. All right, back in 1959, 60% of the country supported a ban for firearms. 60% of the country. Now, that statistic is completely flipped around, okay? Now, 70% oppose a ban on firearms. And look, I gotta be real with you guys. I don't support a ban on firearms. I would like stricter regulation. I would definitely like, you know, harsh background checks. I want to make sure that people who are on terrorist watch lists don't have access to guns. You know, I want strict policy. But it's amazing that back in 1959, 60% of the country said, yeah, only police officers should have guns. No one else should have it. That's amazing to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, look, this is propaganda brought to you not by other gun owners, but what the NRA actually is representing gun manufacturers. And that's why they're fighting for laws that allow people on the terrorist watch list to have guns. They're now fighting for laws where you can bring guns into elementary schools. I'm not kidding. Elementary schools, into bars, et cetera, et cetera. Why? It's not because they actually care about people's safety. It's because they're gun manufacturers. So, of course, they want to produce as many guns as possible. And if you all get into shootouts with guns and that scares people into buying more guns, well, that's more guns they sell. And that's just the reality of it. They have a financial incentive to brainwash you about how awesome guns are. When in reality, look at how many people have died just since Arizona. So that finally prompted President Obama to wade in on this. Now, after the Arizona shooting, the president said nothing about gun control, but his handlers assured us, including as high as David Plouffe, don't worry, the president will give a major speech on this later. Now, it's been 2 months. Has the president given a major speech? Of course not. I said at the time he wouldn't, and obviously he hasn't, nor will he. Instead, what he has done is he has quietly released an editorial to one of the Arizona papers. Now, you could say, hey, listen, the shooting happened in Arizona. That's a logical place to put it. And that might be fair if they drew attention to it, right? But instead, what the White House has done is instead of doing it in a major paper or major speech and directing people to it, they did it in an Arizona paper and just kind of let it go and then sat back and didn't do anything about it. Because why? They don't want to draw attention to it because they think it's generally a losing issue for them. That's usually the kind of profiles and courage that the Obama administration takes. But let's assume for a second that I'm totally wrong about that. And they meant to make this a huge deal, and this is President Obama coming out on gun control. So what did he say in that editorial? Well, you're not going to be surprised to find out that he went exactly with the polling. So, Dan, I explained to you, 86% favor instant computerized background checks for every gun buyer. That was the very first thing that President Obama emphasized. We need to have instant checks. The system has to be fast and nimble and be able to respond to this. The second thing was 67% backing getting rid of the people on the terrorist watch list from being able to buy guns. The president says the same thing. And then being able to do background checks everywhere. That was another popular proposition. President Obama backs that as well. Now, the main question was going to be, is the president going to say, hey, we should limit the number of bullets in a magazine, right? So, for example, in Jared Loughner's case, if he only had 10 bullets in his magazine, well, he would have been tackled after 10 bullets rather than 31 bullets because he was tackled while he was reloading, which, by the way, happens in a great number of cases. And since Columbine, there's been dozens of major shootings. There's never been a case where somebody else pulled out a gun and shot the guy. There has been endless number of cases where the guy was tackled during reloading, right? So now, again, to me, this is a no-brainer. Even a lot of Republicans are on board. Even Dick Cheney's on board for that, okay? So did the president come out and say that he was in favor of that? Of course not. Why? Because Anna just read you the Newsweek poll. 51% want to outlaw it. Not good enough. That's the majority, but it's a bare majority. President Obama, in order to act, needs at least about 65% of the country behind him. If he doesn't have 2/3 of the country, he would have to show leadership. God forbid he would ever do that. So he left that out of his editorial entirely. It's unclear whether he's actually even going to push for any of these proposals. He's just stating, I would kind of like these proposals, and he didn't even propose what seems to be the most obvious one out of Arizona, but that one that doesn't poll overwhelmingly yet.
Eventually, you're going to have a computer disaster, your computer is going to crash, and you're going to lose all your files. But with Carbonite Online Backup, you don't have to worry about any of that because it automatically saves your files off-site. You can access all of your backed up files from any computer remotely, or if you want, you can also access your files through an iPhone or BlackBerry with Carbonite's awesome free app. Carbonite costs just $55 a year for unlimited backup for your PC or Mac. Think about it, that's less than $5 a month. Get a free trial at Carbonite.com by using the promo code TYT, and you also get 2 months free if you decide to buy.